Welcome, Hudson Valley, to this week's edition of In Touch. I'm Patty Quinn, your host. In Touch is the public affairs and issues program that runs across Town Square Media of the Hudson Valley radio stations. If you or your organization would like to be a guest on In Touch, or there's a topic you would like us to look into, we're happy to do so. And you can let us know about it or let us know about you by contacting us through the website with the radio station you're listening on. There's a contact button there. You can also use their mobile app and the text studio feature. Just make sure somewhere in it you include that you're trying to reach Patty Quinn and In Touch. You can also call my desk directly at 845-478-1022. I look forward to speaking with you. So this week, we will be discussing local economy. And I am fortunate enough to have two wonderful guests on this week's show, Maureen and Jessica. Maureen is actually the CEO of Habitat for Humanity of Dutchess County, and Jessica is their Community Development Director. And I am happy to welcome both ladies to our show. So Hudson Valley, I'm super excited. I'm always glad when I get to have these guests on In Touch. I am here with Jessica and Maureen from Habitat for Humanity of Dutchess County, or as I love to call it, the Restore Store of Dutchess. So the Restore Store. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us this week. You have so much great stuff to tell us about. But before we get into it, give me a little bit of background. Each of you, we'll start with Maureen, what you do at Habitat and, a little bit of how you got involved.
Okay, that's great, Patty. And listen, we're always really excited to be here, too. So thanks for having us back again. I am Maureen Lashley. I'm the executive director, actually now the CEO of Habitat for Humanity here in Dutchess County. I've been with them as a paid employee for 8 years and was a volunteer way back in 2004. So I've been with them for quite a while. As part of my history, I have done a lot of work in the anti-poverty world. And this, for me, is sort of the culmination of that I'm no longer helping to put Band-Aids on gaping wounds. I'm actually working towards permanent solutions.
I love that. And Jess, what keeps you busy?
Oh, so many things. I'm Jessica Muchio. I'm the Resource Development Director for Habitat Dutchess. And a big portion of my job is exactly what my title says, developing those resources that help us meet our mission. And those resources are our volunteers, our donors, and our shoppers at the Restore.
I love it. I love it. So we have something really big that's going to be going on for the month of April. And I think we're just going to dive into the meat of it because I may have a question or two that I think the listeners will have. So let's get started. April is a big month.
Yes, it is.
It absolutely is. It's National Fair Housing Month. And so we get to celebrate all of the really exciting things that are happening to make safe, decent, affordable housing available to everyone. Specifically in Habitat, we focus on those families who are for the first time becoming home buyers. So that's really exciting for us.
And how many we have obviously affordable housing here in the Hudson Valley is a hot topic.
Hot topic, I think pretty much everywhere. And, I said affordable housing, but I think it's important that people understand that when we're talking about Habitat and many other types of housing, it really is homes with an affordability factor attached to them. So we are not talking about any specific segment of the population. We're talking about anyone and everyone who needs safe, decent, affordable housing. Their income will determine what they can afford, and that's what we look at Habitat. How can we make sure that we set you up to succeed and not fail?
So what do you have planned for April?
So April is really important for us to advocate that affordable housing is a fundamental human right. It reminds us that no matter who you are, you deserve a place to call home. And we do that through our home ownership program. We do it through our Aging in Place program, as well as our Brush with Kindness program, because as Maureen said, our mission is to ensure sustainability. So even if you already own your home and you are a senior citizen or a veteran and there's things that you need to improve your accessibility, we will come in and provide that because we want to make sure that you stay in your home. And then for our partners, we go on that journey to home ownership by providing home ownership classes, financial education, and they work with us. They come and they do what we call sweat equity, which is volunteer hours. So not only do they go through all of these classes, they build their own home, which is really important because everyone needs to know Habitat is here to give you a hand up, not a handout.
Right. And I think there must be some self-worth in being part of the process.
Oh, absolutely. Some of the stories are just amazing that we hear. I can't say I have a favorite story, but we have a family who's just about coming to the end of their mortgage. And when the mom in that family started, she had a low paying job and was hesitant to try and do better. Was just sort of very grateful she had it. And now she's an executive assistant to the CEO of a major corporation. And she attributes that to the self-esteem that she built while she was building her home.
That's amazing. So walk me through the process of someone who is in this program or who comes to Habitat, because there are so many faces of a Habitat and so many things. As you know, as I open the show, I always think of you guys as a place to go shopping. But there is so much to Habitat besides your storefront. So Jessica.
Yes. So families can come to us through our website by coming to our restore or simply by calling us. And our director of operations, Jen Radicone, is really their introductory point, and she stays with them through their whole journey because she is also our qualified loan originator. So they fill out an application and Jen works with them to go through the various components of what is needed for home ownership. And if you're not yet there, she will also enroll you in our Homeward Bound program, which will let you build up to our home ownership program. Then from there, it goes to a committee. They're accepted as our partner family, and then they begin their journey of completing their sweat equities. We never want to give a complete time frame for our families, but our typically is about 18 to 24 months. Like Maureen said earlier, we are not crisis centric. We are long term. So our families will go enter that journey with us. They come to the restore. They come to construction sites. They will also do crafts at home. Jen is really great about offering sweat equity opportunities to everyone in the family. So they'll have their children do Valentine's Day gifts for our volunteers, which was really special this year because one family actually got construction hats and put stickers on them that said, "I dig you," and thank you for helping build our homes.
So cute.
Every day our mission is brought back to us in some form or some way.
So, and I just have to get to the term because I think it's great that you call it sweat equity. Like you didn't come up with, it's fun. I mean, it's a fun term, but you didn't come up with something, nice. You're being honest. Yeah. You're going to put in some hard work to do this, but it could be enjoyable work at the same time. I mean, doing crafts and stuff at home is great.
It is. It absolutely is that. But also, I think it's really important to understand that, well, some people can come to the table with a checkbook. Our families come to the table with their sweat equity. And so what that really means is that a single mom who's working 1.5 jobs is finding some way to cob together 20 hours every month to do sweat equity. And that's a part-time job. So now, in essence, she's working 2 full-time jobs in order to be able to be a homeowner and provide that to her children. And I think we sometimes forget that. It's really important to remember that it is a commitment like none other. I didn't have to do that kind of work to own my home.
No. I might have spent that many hours with my banker trying to figure it all out. No, we want you at this interest rate. No, hold on. We're going over here. Dizzying. But I still love the concept, though, that people are involved in their process. So like you said, it's a hand up. You don't feel like somebody just handed you something. So do you find it challenging in this current economic world to find spaces for people? I mean, are there spaces in the Hudson Valley?
Property's tough. Property is very, very tough. So we've done a lot of work in the city of Poughkeepsie, and I'm very proud of that work, and our families are benefiting from that work. But there's a need throughout this county, and we're looking at alternative ways that we can access property, both through the municipalities as well as through individual donations. Thanks to your coverage, I'm sure many of your readers know about the wonderful gift that we were given from Mackenzie Scott that will allow us to purchase some properties. But that's a finite amount of money. And what we're looking for is to create not only relationships, but legislation that will set aside property that has a permanent, affordable housing factor attached to it. We're not quite there yet, but I know we can get there, especially in Dutchess County, where we have always been out of the box thinkers.
Right. And I'm assuming because, and I'll say this because we're reaching a broad audience, each habitat in their communities is striving to find similar property in different areas where they are the same. And I think the Hudson Valley, it's a challenge.
It's certainly, I mean, the cost of housing is astronomical. And, you know, in a community where the median income is $100,000 plus dollars, our families who are the essential workers in Dutchess County, the home health care aides, the grocery shop clerk, all those people that are critical to our community moving forward and moving smoothly, are probably making between $35,000 and $45,000 a year. So homeownership, and in some cases rental, is outside of their capacity. Do you know that right now, Patty, that 1 in 5 people in Dutchess County are paying more than 50% of their income for housing? And anybody will tell you that if you pay more than 30%, you are going to be upside down very, very quickly.
Well, and I know that only because with your mortgage, they're very weird about when they go to give you a mortgage. And I've always owned a home. Fortunately, that was sort of how my parents raised us. But I know you have to have this margin. And I'll never forget the first time I went to try and get a home and they said, you know, if you go with this budget, you will never go out to dinner. Do you honestly believe you will never go out to dinner?
Right.
And I was like, well, I don't look at it that way.
Right.
You know, they're like, and we're not sure you'll be able to eat at home.
Right. And in addition to that, moms and dads are forced into making unbelievably difficult choices between, you know, paying the mortgage and buying medicine and buying a birthday present for your child. Can you imagine living in a home that's so expensive that when your child's birthday comes, you can't spend $5 for a present? That's what our families are facing.
Yeah, and I imagine that it hasn't helped with grocery and gas going through the ceiling either.
Oh gosh, I can't even imagine what that's going to do to some of our families.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I just filled up my car. I have 16-gallon tank, $75. I could take the hit, but many of our families can't.
No, it is shocking to. The only thing I can say is we discussed this on In Touch last week, is there's a point where it seems to be leveling off a bit, but it leveled off at the high side. Mm-hmm. Like it didn't level off and go down. Right. And I think, unfortunately, like you said, that's a situation we have going on in the county right now. Mm-hmm. And it's wonderful that you guys are coming up with these programs that help people get into a home, because we all know a home is important to people.
Exactly. And I think, too, it's really important. You know, we're talking about the community as a whole, but there's a section of our community that's hit even harder, and that's our families of color. For generations, they have been kept out of the housing market. So the equity that many white families have been able to enjoy and then send their kids to college with, you know, home equity loans and so on. And so our families of color have not been able to do that. And so here at Habitat, we actually have specific programs that target families of color. We have created already a Black homeownership initiative that advances homeownership for families of color. We are so excited that we have several families now in the queue that are going to be able to be homeowners because of that initiative. But I think as a community, we also have to acknowledge the damage that was done and find ways to make an equitable solution to a very inequitable situation.
Well, and it's got to be hard, too, when you look across, because, over where I am in Ulster County, but even it doesn't take much to drive around here in Dutchess County, especially throughout the Poughkeepsie area, where you see buildings that, could be rehabbed. And you do wonder to yourself, and I'm not going to go as far as calling places zombie houses, but you have places where you look and you think that could create home ownership for someone. How do we get that into our hands? But at the same time, then you still have to concern yourself with, where does it sit on a tax roll? Because taxes are something in home ownership that go hand in hand.
Absolutely. There are definitely some municipalities within certain school districts that will probably not be available to our families simply because the taxes themselves. We have a minimum $35,000 a year income, but for some of the higher taxed areas, that is really too much for them to be able to. We do subsidize their mortgage, but we can't completely subsidize it. So there has to be some money after taxes to actually pay that mortgage. And unfortunately, we're not there yet, but we're looking at creative ways to do that too, trying to come up with 0 lot line properties so that there's sharing in that, trying to look at ways that perhaps the property could still be owned by a not-for-profit, but the improvements on the property, meaning the home, would be owned by the homeowner. So we're looking at unique ways to do that, but we need the brain trust of this entire community to be able to create that.
Right. So we've talked about a lot of things that maybe some people feel like, oh, that's big. How do you get that done? So where does someone who's interested in being part of this, but also maybe who has a solution, who do they contact? Where do they start? Because as much as we want to make sure people who are in need of these homes know how to access your services, we also want to make sure we're asking people who have services who can help you.
Sure. So give us a call at the Restore because
the Restore Store.
That's the number. And I just said not to say that. So I'm going to say the Habitat Restore.
There you go. It's the Habitat Restore.
But give us a call
Dutchess.
there. Ask for Maureen or Jess. And we will be very happy to walk you through not only the process we're currently using, but also ways that you can support new initiatives or perhaps become part of our leadership team.
Right. That's great. Now, I did see, I'm just going to bump in for a second because I'm not sure. You guys had a job fair.
We did.
Yeah. And how are we doing? Do we still need volunteers? Do we still need people?
We need volunteers and we need paid staff. We need a driver. We need a driver's helper. And we need a front-end manager who has some pretty good computer skills.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, right. Yeah, no. Computers are everywhere nowadays.
And we're one of the last organizations that actually pays full medical benefits for an individual.
Wow, that's fantastic. What a great benefit.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So, but if somebody wanted to say, they've got a job and they're just feeling like they want to give back, they want to volunteer, is that possible?
That is absolutely possible. And you can contact me at the Habitat Restore. Directly to my extension is with the phone number is 845-297-7610, extension 6. And what we'll do is we'll go over the different opportunities we have, because here at Habitat we have a great saying: you don't have to swing a hammer to help us. We have committee opportunities, we have office work, we have retail work, and then we do have our construction side. But there's many opportunities for various skill sets. And like we all say, if you don't know, we'll teach you.
And my favorite part, which I love because that makes it fun to go to the Habitat Restore store, is what about donations?
So donations are what build the foundation of our homes. The Restore is a program of Habitat Dutchess, and through that, the net income that we bring in helps us build more homes, which is, again, like I said before, we are very mission centric. So everything will always go back to that everyone deserves a decent place to live. And it's because of our donors, both on the individual level and commercial level. And I'm happy to announce that we will be having our second annual Countywide Donation Day.
Woo!
On April 23rd. We will have various locations throughout the county with our wonderful volunteers, but it's an opportunity to go right down the street and donate to us. And from that, it's really an opportunity to spread our message, to let everyone know what our Restore does. Not only can you drop off on our locations, but For those who don't know, we also pick up throughout the county. Our box trucks make 17,000 pickups a year throughout Dutchess County.
Oh my God, that's
And do you know what that
amazing.
means for our county? That 100,000 tons of materials is not ending up in our local landfills.
Well, and that was the topic Maureen and I had discussed last quarter, which I think is so important that people don't realize. Actually, it was last fall. People don't realize how much material you are keeping out of the trash cycle. And perfectly good material. I mean, we're talking about brand new furniture sometimes, not stuff that people have kicked aside. We're talking about stuff that you walk in and you think sometimes you're in Raymore and Flanagan.
And that actually brings up a really great point, Patty. So we talked a little bit about our partnership with Arnoff and some of the work that we're doing with them to keep some of that brand new product out of the landfill. But very often businesses have an actual cost associated with their inventory when they hang on to it. We can be their solution. If they give us a call, we can come pick up their unused inventory. They can use it as a tax write-off, and everybody wins. And whatever that is, we have a local tile company who donates 8 to 10 actual, Jess, what do they call
Pallets.
Sorry.
That's a lot.
Pallets of tile to us every quarter. And that tile goes out the door as fast as it comes in. And that's why we're also happy to announce that this year we actually built our very first home with the proceeds from Habitat Restore.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
And it will be one of the homes that actually is part of our Advancing Black Home Ownership Initiative. So
That's great.
Win-win-win all the time.
Yeah. Well, and I just want to, this is going to sound like an advertisement in the public issues program show, but what I am very impressed with as someone who's familiar with the Habitat Restore store is you do go in there, you see so much merchandise, you see so many items, and it's so wonderful to see them affordable. and seriously, where and I've seen in the last time I was in, there were actually college students there getting mugs and plates, and I thought their parents are going to be so proud of them that they're not, grabbing up plastic cups and paper plates at the grocery and throwing them out and wasting their grocery budget and everything else, that they're actually getting like real things, adulting and stocking. And I could tell they were roommates. We were all clamoring around the glass area together, but I could tell they were trying to pick out glasses for each other and coffee mugs. And that's great to see. It creates community, but at the same time, it's wonderful to see that you've created this really affordable price point.
Yeah, and that's important for us because everything we do, we create an essential extended family. So not only do our shoppers come in and shop and support through their purchases, but then they turn around and volunteer with us because they're just so moved by what our mission is and they want to be a part of it. Our local business partners, will reach out to us when they're relocating their offices and, there's product there. Or if a hotel chain is remodeling, we will come and we will take all of those floors of cabinets, dressers, so we are really a full circle type of business model. And it's important to us that we continue on that path. So, affordable home ownership is key, but from that, it's community, it's volunteering, it's shopping, and it's donating. There's always a place for you in our family. Our doors are always open.
Well, and that's what I think the best part, if I can stress this enough to the people listening to In Touch this week, I think that's one of the greatest things about it. Whether you want to be a shopper or you're looking for stuff that, you have stuff in your home that, you're not going to sell per se. Nobody in your family wants it. And I can attest, the truck does pull up. You all were here. We had a conference room table, full disclosure. This is how we all met face to face. That I still to this day, do not know how you all got it out the door. You did. And I've seen it in good use because it's that much of a monster. I thought, who will buy this? And it had another vision. So, but that's what I mean. It seems like everyone can have a role at Habitat.
There truly is. There absolutely is. It doesn't matter what your skill set is. We we are able to find something for you to do. And that something is very meaningful. It's not busy work. It's something that will help someone become a homeowner.
I was going to say, and that's what it equals out. It equals out to more people in our community being able to be a homeowner. And again, I want to reiterate that I think it's wonderful that we're looking at these people. We've just come off this 2-year pandemic. These people worked so hard when we're talking about the folks that are coming to you for assistance in home ownership. And where would we have been if we couldn't go to the grocery store every week? Because pretty much that's what we were doing. We were grocery shopping and making stuff at home. And it was, people used Instacart and all that. Well, those are the same people roaming your store and putting it, even if they just took it out to your car and you didn't actually go in the store. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we have a couple minutes here to finish up. Fun event, anything coming up? I know sometimes we do those events where you can show somebody how to turn like a dresser into a dog bed. Do we have any of that going on this month?
So the big one this month is our countywide donation day, and really just highlighting Fair Housing Month. We welcome you to come to our restore. Our partner families will be there. Our staff will be there, and our key volunteer staff will be there, and learn how whatever you commit to us, what that impact truly is. And to tie that in a little bit of a bow for your listeners, I had the opportunities to spend the day with one of our partner families who is this mother of a beautiful 2-year-old daughter. And what she's taking away from her pathway to home ownership the most is that they could have gone on the open market because her husband is an essential worker, but they were unable to. And through their partnership with Habitat, what she's looking forward to most is not only having a place to call her own, but to have the financial sustainability to take her daughter to Disney World. Something that she never had.
Yeah.
That's the impact of Habitat Dutchess.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's fantastic.
It is a great story, and it is definitely in the heart of all of our families, is to provide their families with a better life. If you know anything about social work, you've heard of Maslow's hierarchy of need. And so many of our families come to us sort of at the bottom of the pyramid, where the only thing they can worry about is making sure that they survive. That's it. And by the time they come through our program and become homeowners, they're doing things like running for the school board and winning, and actually creating their neighborhood watch group and making sure that it's a strong and effective one. They're going to town council meetings and city council meetings and expressing needs that their community has. They could never have done that when what they were worrying about was where their next paycheck was going to come from, or where they were going to be able to get groceries, or what if something happens to the car? How am I going to get it fixed? That's really what homeownership and affordable home ownership is about, is making sure that person who is as important to our community as anyone gets to share their gifts with us. So it's not really just about what we're giving to a family. It's what about the family is giving to us.
Yeah. Ladies, this has been great. I cannot say enough about having you on. I can't wait to have you back next quarter to find out what you're going to be up to next. And most importantly, I want to remind everyone that you guys are on Facebook. You have social media. You are right on Route 9. You cannot miss the Habitat of Dutchess County Restore Store. It's right there. Actually, what was it? It was a Babies R Us years ago.
Babies R Us.
Yes. So right down from the old South Hills Mall on the left-hand side, and obviously on the right if you're coming up from Wappingers. But thank you so much, Jess and Maureen, for joining us. And we look forward to having you again on the program.
Thank you, Patty.
Thanks, Patty. Great to be here as always.
Thank you again, Hudson Valley, for tuning in to this week's In Touch. If you would like to be a guest, or there is an issue you would like us to bring up, please contact us through the radio station you are listening on, or you can phone me directly. I'm Patty Quinn, your host. My number is 845-478-1022. Until next week, Hudson Valley, thank you and be safe.